Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Lanes podcast. Before we get into today's episode, I just want to talk to you about our new sponsor that's come on board, Books and Gifts Direct. Books and Gifts Direct is Australia's largest direct seller of books and gifts. They sell their products from lunchrooms and reception desks and are in more than 25,000 workplaces across Australia. Their books and gifts sell up to 70% off recommended retail price, and as the leading direct seller of books and gifts across Australia, they have a strong buying power, and without the overheads of a shopfront, they can afford to pass on significant savings. So guys, you want to have a look more at this website, our new sponsor, make sure you click the link below. It will be in the description box or the comments. But most importantly, let's get into the show. All right, welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Lanes podcast. Now, on today's episode, I'm going to be doing a look at the early award predictions for the upcoming 2021-2022 NBA season. So, without further ado, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into this. Welcome to another episode of the Lanes podcast. All right, we're back. We're back on another episode today. Just before we get into it, as always, guys, do appreciate all the comments, the likes, the subscribers, the sharing that's been put on notice. I do really appreciate it. It also helps me grow this podcast as high as I can possibly get it. And it's just great to see that everybody's loving the new stuff that's come on board. So, just before we get into the episode, I know it's very early, and there's not a lot of news within the NBA at the moment. So that's why I'm definitely doing, a couple podcasts that might not be on the current NBA, but today's one's definitely going to be on the current NBA. I'm going to do my early look at the award predictions for the upcoming season. All right, I'm going to leave MVP last. All right, but first off, I'm going to start with the most improved award. And for me, it's actually a player that did pretty well in his rookie season, and I think he's going to have a really good season this year, and I believe he's going to be a starter in their team, and that is Tyrese Haliburton from the Sacramento Kings. Now, if you don't know, the Sacramento Kings, for me, they're a team that just, treads murky waters. They're in that position where, they're trying to compete for that play-in tournament, but they're not good enough, but then they got talent where they're not going to tank. So they're kind of in that position of what Orlando was a couple of years ago. What do you want to be, an 8th seed, get 43 wins or make the playoffs and get bounced in 5 games? That's not something that you should really want to do. So for me, I'm a bit hesitant on them, what they're doing within the team. Because they got some legit studs, man. De'Aaron Fox, if he's probably on any other team, he might as well be an all-star if you ask me. You got Marvin Bagley, who has been injury prone, I get that. But, he's got a lot of potential. People forget he went second in his draft. He went ahead of Luka Doncic. All right, just let that sink in for a second. So when he was coming out, he had a lot of potential, a lot of talent, So they have some decent pieces there. But for me, I think Tyrese Haliburton's going to have a really, really strong season because the way I look at it, he's definitely going to start. I think they're going to do a De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Haliburton backcourt. And for me, that's the best backcourt that they could possibly offer. I do know that they have Buddy Hield there, but for me, I think Tyrese Haliburton is younger. He might not be able to shoot the ball at a higher clip, but he's definitely a legit shooter. He's a great assist man. He really knows how to find people. I think that takes a lot of pressure off De'Aaron Fox, especially when they're playing, because he can really go out and find players. And watching a little documentary on him, he loves to feed his players. He likes to get his players involved. And that's something that in today's league, I think it's kind of dying a little bit. Not people in the NBA that want to feed people and find people, but people coming out that's their main priority and focus coming into the league. Because as we know, this is a scorer's league, guys. This is a league where heaps of people want to get baskets, and that's how you get paid basically in the NBA. If you're really good at scoring, you're probably going to get a decent contract in the NBA at some point. You can get good contracts not being a scorer, but if you're a scorer, you're most likely going to have a decent contract, right? So for me, I think Tyrese Haliburton is going to have a really big jump in his scoring. I think Sacramento's going to tell him, look, we need you to be probably our second, third best scorer. And for us, you need to get at least within that 18 to 20 point range. And I think he's definitely capable of doing that, because I believe if you're Luke Walton, you already don't like Buddy Hield. You have Harrison Barnes there. That's 2 pieces, I would say, that are trade assets. Yes, I do understand that they're pretty high paid, but for me, if I'm Sacramento, you're not going to make the playoffs this year, no matter what with this team you have now. If I were you, trade those 2 pieces, go super young. You're going to waste another 1 to 2 years? Your fan base has been this loyal as it is, right? So I think another 1 to 2 years, they can kind of hack. Try to get another decent draft pick. Try to get a decent 4 wing. You did sign Rashawn Holmes. You do have Marvin Bagley. I would keep him, but like try to get a better big, Like someone like Evan Mobley would have been a really nice piece of this team, but like obviously Sacramento didn't want to, try to be as bad as they possibly can. If they say they got an Evan Mobley, that's just insurance for someone like Marvin Bagley if he gets injured, or if you had enough of him, you want to trade him, you want to get some more assets, perfect. But like Sacramento, they just want to try to win, but they're not a very good team. Like it's just every team wants to win, right? Everyone wants to win in this league. But if you're not good enough, then fuck me. Like, what are you going to do? Like, you're just not good enough. It's just at the end of the day, they don't have enough assets or enough great players at that time to make it. I do think, though, that they have a decent foundation. And they still have all their first-round picks. They have a legit stud in De'Aaron Fox, who I reckon is going to be on the launch pad. He might be on the launch pad for a couple of years because if Sacramento don't fulfill his potential, he'll probably just ask for a trade. He's already got his max extension, so he can go get a trade, within 2 years. That way he can get bird rights. That way he can get more money. But that's not about the Sacramento Kings as a whole. This is kind of directing towards Sacramento Kings. I want to reckon Tyrese. I think he's definitely going to be the most improved player this year, or if not, in the candidacy or in the running for the most improved. I was going to say Anthony Edwards, but I wanted to be a bit different. I wanted to put someone a bit more unknown and unrecognized because I feel like a lot of people are going to have Anthony Edwards as that most improved player. And so he should be. He's going to be a very good player. I think that, watching some of his highlights, he's definitely just scratching the surface. And for me, I think that would have been the obvious choice, but I want to put people that I think could be a bit different, a bit more of a different, approach and appearance on players. So for me, I reckon Tyrese Halliburton's going to have a really good season. Hopefully Buddy Hield gets traded so he can, legit cement that spot. I do believe that's going to happen. I believe Buddy Hield is on ample time at Sacramento, and I think it's the best for both parties because coming out, he was like a 6 pick, so he was a highly, talented player. A lot of people thought that he was going to be a legit starter. I remember Jalen Rose saying that he was the best player in that draft. He's been a decent player. He's kind of in that range where he's like Kyle Kuzma a bit. Like, is he going to take that jump ever, or is he just going to be, or is this what we got? Because if this is what we got, this isn't a bad player. This is a good player. This is a player that's going to be serviceable in the league and will last in the league for years to come. But let's not joke and kid ourselves. Let's put him at what he is. He's a great shooter, can't play defense, and that's about it. Like he's not an all-star, So for me, hopefully they trade him. But yeah, Tyrese Halliburton, I reckon he'll get like 18 points a game in that range, 15 to 20 points. I'd say around 18 points. I reckon he'd get like 8 or 9 assists, and that's what's going to help him get this most improved. Hopefully he can have a bit of a better defensive rating than what he's got, but I do definitely believe that he will be, the most improved player this year, or if not most improved in and around that award. So, moving on now, I'm going to do the defensive player of the year because I actually think this is one of the most interesting races too because, you look at it, there's a lot of people that could definitely be in this position. Like you look at Bam Adebayo, Rudy Gay, Giannis, Ben Simmons, you look at, I said Rudy Gobert, right? Yeah, you look at those players. They're all players that are capable of getting this award. If Kawhi was healthy, Kawhi was always going to be in this race. Pat Beverly, he's going to be in this race too. But for me, I've gone with Draymond Green. And yes, I get it. I love talking about the Warriors, but the way I look at the Warriors, I think they're going to be a top team in the NBA, right? Again, and for me, Steph Curry's their best player. That's a fact. He's their most important player, but their heart and soul, I really feel is Draymond Green, and I think that's like not even like when they were winning the competition back in the day, I said someone that was a bit outlandish. I said, he's their most important player. He's the most integral player, and I was wrong. Obviously, Steph Curry is, but like he was their second most important player because he gets Klay open, he gets Steph open, he sets screens, he plays defense on the best player every night. He talks he's the best communicator, top 5 in the NBA, right? So for me, all those things, I think Golden State has another, good 2-3 years of getting one more chip. I don't know if they can get more than one more chip, but they got a really good shot at getting it. So I think, Draymond's going to have another great year. I think him going to the Olympics, I think it showcased to you how important he is because he wasn't an all-star this past season, but he was finishing games for them. Him, Drew Holiday. He's another player that could be in this Defensive Player of the Year award, especially now that he's on a bit of a higher household name and he's a player that, did really, really good, not just in the playoffs, but in the Olympics, he got minutes over a lot of players that I wouldn't have thought, So, players like Draymond and Drew, they're going to get their credit, and I definitely believe Draymond's going to be, definitely, if he stays healthy, I think he's going to be the Defensive Player of the Year. I think watching them, if James Wiseman has a massive jump on defense, we all know who is really helpful for him. Obviously, Steve Kerr and the coaching stuff, but Draymond would be a massive factor to him. If he can get his defense right, Draymond, it's going to make Draymond look like an even better defender. So I definitely believe Draymond will be the Defensive Player of the Year, or if not, he'll definitely be in and around. Like, another player I would say that would, possibly be a Defensive Player is Bam. And I really do believe that, like, Miami's going to be a gun team. Like, for me, I love Miami. I love everything they're about, what they stand for. So for me, I think Bam will be another, person that can be in this race. But, I really do believe that Draymond's just going to showcase how important he is to this Golden State team, how important he was to this previous Golden State dynasty, because some people don't like calling it, but let's get real here. Golden State was a dynasty by far, maybe the second best team ever assembled. Maybe, I loved watching them. So I'm biased, of course, but, I do believe they're at least a top 5 team, top 3, I'll say top 3 team ever assembled. So for me, Defensive Player of the Year is going to be Draymond Green. Now, my Rookie of the Year, I'll do that first. No, I'll do Sixth Man first, because Rookie of the Year is going to be another interesting race too. Sixth Man of the Year, I found it pretty hard actually to narrow it down to one player, because I think now with Lou Williams getting a little bit older, I think he's, people, are trying to kind of figure him out. Like, he's getting a bit older, and that's fair. But he was like winning this award for fun. Like, every time, it's kind of like LeBron in the MVP, right? Like, it's like LeBron's the best player in the world. Obviously, let's give him the MVP. And some years he didn't get it. Like, some people had, better regular seasons, but like, you all knew LeBron was the best player. It was kind of like Lou Williams when it's sixth man. Like, we all knew that he's the best sixth man in the world. But then you're going to give an award to Montrezl Harrell, who, I'm not cutting, him any slack. He was a great player, but like, it's obvious Lou Williams the best sixth man in the world, right? And I think him not being at that mantle anymore, it's a really, interesting choice. I could have gone with Jordan Clarkson, recurring MV sixth man of the year, sorry. But I do believe that I still believe Utah are going to be really good, but I want to pick someone different. And like, I've gone with Derrick Rose for the Knicks, because I really do believe that I'm actually a bit hesitant on the Knicks, because I don't know if they'll be as good as what people think, because like, I look at the East, it's very tough, it's very difficult, but I do believe that Derrick Rose is going to have a really good year, especially now that he is the second best point guard on this team. I think it's a bit clear. He's actually the healthiest point guard on this team, and that's actually, credit to him, because back, 5 years ago, he was struggling with his health, but he's the healthiest point guard on this team, so I think he'll get a lot of minutes. And I think that they might even play both of them together. And I think that's something that's a recipe for success. Go small, play him, play RJ or Evan Fournier. You got Julius at the 5, especially because Mitchell Robinson right now isn't the greatest offensive threat, or he's a bad free throw shooter, so you might take him off. But, this is just based on the sixth man. I'm not talking about the Knicks. I do believe that Derrick Rose is going to have a really, really good season, a really strong season. I think he'll get that average to 15 to 20 points, kind of like what Lou Williams was doing when he was on there. I actually think that he could like be a smoky for an All-Star appearance, because if New York's going really good, right, and you got Julius Randle, who hopefully he does the same what he was doing last year, and then you've got Kemba Walker who's playing really good, but he's a bit inconsistent. Derrick Rose is their third best player, I think, right now. Like, I do think that RJ can take that jump and can be that third player for them, and I think that's what they need. But like Derrick Rose, let's not cut anyone slack. But like, he's a bucket still. He's still a really hard player to guard. We saw Tom Thibodeau elevated to starting role in the playoffs. He was the only person on that Knicks team that was giving him consistent minutes, consistent scoring, in the playoffs at certain points in time. So I do believe he's going to take that jump. He's going to be the sixth man this year. If he's not the sixth man, he'll definitely be a finalist, and it's a great story, because he'll be like one of very few he'll be one of very few players, and the only person I know that's got an MVP and a sixth man is James Harden, and that can be a fun fact for anyone out there. He got the sixth man, I think, the second or third year he was at Oklahoma City, But yeah, no, I do believe that, Derrick Rose can definitely be in that contention of 6 man in a year. If it's not him, I still think Jordan Clarkson's got a really strong chance because that system suits him really well. He can just come on and light it up and jack it up. I don't even really, at the moment, you got Montrezl Harrell, who hopefully he can have a bounce back season, but like, I don't know, maybe like, it's funny because like Andre Iguodala should have got a 6 man a year back in the day when he was playing with Golden State. He was obviously the best 6 man in the world, but he was arguably, top 50 player in the world, depending on who you want to ask. Obviously, a lot of people don't value how good he actually is and how important he was to the Warriors, but that's neither here or there. But maybe like a player like, oh, geez, I'm trying to think, right? Because like, it's actually kind of it's harder to think. Like, there's a lot of players out there. Maybe like Dennis Schroeder, if he comes off the bench at Boston, I think he's got a lot of fuel in the tank, and he's got a lot of people he wants to doubt. Tyler Hero's another choice. I think that he can definitely be a 6 man. I think he's got Kuzma potential written all over him. I think that he's like a player that can be, people are like buying him up like, oh, he's going to take the jump. He's going to take the jump, and he might not. But let's not forget that he's still a gun player. Like, he's still a really good player. He's going to have a lot of touches this season. I think him having Kyle Lowry is going to make it easier, but having Duncan Robinson is going to make it harder for him to get minutes because Duncan Robinson suits that team so much. So maybe like a Tyler Robinson, if he just like breaks out and becomes this superstar, you have to start him, and that could actually elevate Miami even more. So I'll throw, if not, I reckon Tyler Hero has a definite chance, and I'm definitely putting him in there because I really do like him. I really do, appreciate what he does on the floor, and I don't think that the first year in the bubble was a fluke for him. So that's my opinion on the 6 man. We'll move on to the Rookie of the Year. I'm going to put it right out here. Cade Cunningham's getting this award, and a lot of people are kind of writing him off already. A lot of people think Jalen Green is the obvious choice. Jalen Green will score the most points, right? So you score the most points, of course you're going to have to be in this race for Rookie of the Year, right? But Anthony Edwards scored the most points this past season, right? He didn't get MVP because at the end of the day, when LaMelo was healthy and when LaMelo was fit, he was the best player. He was the best rookie in that rookie class, right? I think Cade's got the exact same stuff. Like, he's going to be a player that has the reins. Like, he's going to be the point guard. If not him, Killian Hayes. And let's cut the shit here. He's better than Killian Hayes already, so give him the reign. Killian off ball. I didn't mind what I saw from Killian. I still think he's got bust potential written all over him, but if not, let's trade him. Let's get an asset away. But I'm just talking about Detroit here already. I want to talk about Cade. He's definitely got the potential. I reckon he's going to be Luka 2.0. He might not be as good as Luka, but like, I think he's got the potential to be Luka 2.0. Some of the moves and the way he acts and the way he plays, he's got obviously alpha written all over him, but he's got that presence about him where he's able to just get anywhere he wants. And I think you got to think about it, he hasn't played a game in a long time. So like, him getting back into the game fitness and game match, it obviously takes time. And, Jalen Green, played a bit more recently than him. So I think Jalen Green played really well. And it's no shock to me that a lot of players that were in playoff teams, that are second or third year players, played really well. Like, you look at it, Peyton Pritchard. I think he got co-MVP with Davion Mitchell. So like, it's obvious, like, he was in the playoffs for a bit. He was kind of like a rotational player for them, but, he was like a player those are the players that typically get those, those MVP awards. But for me, I think it's definitely going to be between him or Jalen. Another player that might be, smoky, and like, I don't think it's going to be Evan Mobley, because I think Evan Mobley might take a bit more time to, just get to that point where he's going to be, the best, or if not the best player, one of the best players in that rookie class. But I think like someone like, you got to look at it, who's going to get a lot of minutes in these teams. I would have said Jalen Suggs if he went to Toronto, because he would have been the point guard for them, or he would have been starting with Fred VanVleet. I do like Scotty Barnes a lot. I actually do think he's got a lot of good signs about him, but like, I would say, geez, it's tough right now, man. Like, it's really tough. Like, I honestly don't know who would be that third player, and it's interesting. I did like James Bouknight. I liked what I saw from him. I thought he was, he can score the ball at a pretty decent clip. Davion Mitchell, he's another player that could definitely be in this position, but like, I think that Tyrese Halliburton's better than him. He might, I think, for Sacramento, it might end up being, you've got De'Aaron at the 1, you've got Tyrese at the 2, Davion at the 3, Marvin at the 4, Rashawn at the 5. that's a better lineup anyway. 4 out of those 5 players are like at least under 25 or under. So that's perfect there. But I'm not talking about, Sacramento. I would say third piece, like who's the most NBA, like who's making an effect? Like 1, Cade, obviously 2, Jalen Green, 3, Evan Mobley. I don't think he'll be there right now because they've still got some players in his position. 4, Scotty, players in his position. 5, Jalen, players are still in his position. 6, Josh Giddey, the Aussie. Of course, I want him to do well, but I don't think he'll be Rookie of the Year at the moment. I need to see him play a bit first. I need to see how he adapts to this NBA range. 7th, was it Jonathan Kuminga? He's got a lot of potential, but he'll come off the bench. He won't start. 8 was Franz Wagner. 9 was Davion Mitchell, and then 10 at the top of my head, I can't remember who was 10. Who had 10 position? I'm not too sure, but yeah, I think it's a 2-horse race between Cade and Jalen, and I think Jalen will have a couple games where he goes off, but I think consistency wise, I think it's definitely going to be Cade. So I would say Cade Cunningham definitely going to be 6th man of the year. I think that's like I think that's the easiest one for me to choose because I think he's definitely going to be a bucket. Now we're going to move on right now to the most interesting award every year, and it's going to be really interesting to see who's in the top 3 because like last year we had Steph, we had Joel, and we had Jokic, right? And you look at it, Jokic, Embiid, bigs. People say the biggest league, this is not a bigs league anymore. Bigs are dying. I still believe that. I still believe that this is a guard/wings league. You just look at the first 10 picks in the draft, how many bigs got drafted in this, and I believe Evan Mobley is a big. And then who the heck went 10 in the draft? Like, geez, I'm running a blank here. If I see what team had the 10th pick, I'd be like, all right, it's this player because I'm pretty good on my feet with just remembering who went where and what went, and like, I'm pretty good at just knowing who usually is at places. But fuck, I can't remember who went 10. Who had the 10th pick? Here we go. Hold on, I need to find this out because this is interesting for me. NBA. Who was it? It should have been that guy from Detroit. What's his name? Oh, who was that? What? Luka Garza, bro. He's a bucket. He went 51 or 52, man. What the heck is going on? That guy's going to be dead set. I reckon he'll be like, honestly, he'll be a dead set pick for all NBA rookie team. Number 10 was Zaire Williams. I haven't seen a lot from him. I don't know a lot from him, so I wouldn't say he would be anywhere close to being in it. I could be fucking wrong, but I doubt it. But yeah, no, it's a 2-man race for me. So I'm going to move on. MVP now, it's obvious for me, I think, who I'm going to pick. But I want to talk about some people that can definitely be in the role of getting MVP. I think someone like Steph Curry, he's going to have another big year, and I think he's going to be in that race. I think he's still got a lot to prove, man. Like for me, I think he can be the best point guard ever, and that's a massive statement to say. But you look at it, is he really that far off being the best point guard now? Like, who's better than him right now? Like, off the top of my head, I never saw Magic Johnson play, so I'm not going to say he's not, but I would take Magic over him, if I'm picking a team. But Steph Curry, for me right now, second best point guard ever. People will say Isaiah Thomas. I'd rather have Steph than Isaiah Thomas. That's just my opinion. I could be, some young guy saying this or that, but I'd rather Steph right now. So I do think Steph's going to have a really nice season. Jokic is still going to be really important to Denver. He's obviously, not talked about because he's at a, not a very big market team, but I think he's definitely going to have a big season. Will that be back-to-back MVPs? I'm not too sure. I think a lot of teams realize now that he's their main focus, so they're going to put all their attention on him defending him. I am leaving the obvious person out. I do think Giannis, again, is going to have a good season, but will he realize, all right, I've got 2 MVPs already. I'm in the market of winning championships now. I know how to win a championship, and that's not belting myself throughout the season. So maybe he'll be in it. But for me, it's dead. I think it's an obvious choice who's going to get it, and I think it's an obvious choice who a lot of people are going to pick. But I think it's the right choice in the consensus choice. It's Luka. It's Luka Doncic, and it's by a mile. What I saw from him in the Olympics, what I saw from him in the first round against LA Clippers, this guy's a problem. This guy's the best international player right now. It's him or Giannis, and I did forget Giannis at the moment. But oh man, no, it's Giannis right now. But I reckon it soon will be Luka. I think the top 2-3 players in the league will be international maybe in a couple of years' time, and that's a great thing for the NBA. But we're going back to the MVP. Luka's got. It's kind of he's the lose because you look at it. If hopefully Kristaps Porzingis can be what he was, then he's going to have a lot of help, and that's going to push their team higher. And Dallas need a little bit of help for him. He needs to kind of get into that fifth. At the least fifth seed. I think the last player to get the lowest playoff ranking was MVP was Russell Westbrook, but let's not consider this. That was a fluke. He was averaging a triple-double that season. He was a man on a mission. He wanted to prove to everyone that he didn't need anyone to make him or their team good. But he only got the sixth best, team. So it's hard for teams to win. Hard for a player to win MVP that's not usually in the top 3, top 4. So for me, I believe that Luka has to get fifth. I think if he gets fifth, he'll definitely be in that contention. But yeah, Luka's got it, dude. Luka's just got that about him. Like he's so hard to guard. He can hit you with anything at any time. I think he's just got to get a little bit fitter. And if he gets a little bit fitter, lose a little bit of that baby weight, man, he's going to skyrocket. And I've talked so much about him. I had a whole podcast on him, just before, when I watched Slovenia unfortunately go down in the Olympics. But, I love him. It could be definitely biased, but I just think he's got MVP potential written all over him. He will definitely get one MVP before he is, finishes his career. And I think this year is like one of the best parts for him. He's going to have Jason Kidd, who's literally going to get the ball in his hands, and he's going to have that at all points in time. So I think that's the best thing for him, But let's not joke ourselves. He does need a little bit more help, and hopefully he can get it. Hopefully Kristaps Porzingis, man, if you can be what you were before, you're an all-star in this league. Like, I hope to God he can, because he's a dead set problem, man. I really rate him so much, So hopefully he can get back to his potential. But if not, maybe look at flipping him. Maybe you have to do it, because you don't have you got to look at it like Luka's got 10 years, to be a star. That's not that long. It's not that long. So for me, get it while you can. Get it while it's hot. Like, try to be the best team possible you can possibly be right now. But that's my MVP. If I was to choose who's the runner-up or who would be another obvious choice, Steph. I think Steph's going to have a really good year. But, guys, that's my opinions on the award races. If you guys have any people that you think that would be, in these award races, please let me know in the comments section below on whatever you're listening to this on. Make sure that you guys tell me your opinion, because I would love to see who you guys think. Because if I've forgotten anyone, I actually want to know. So, without further ado, guys, thank you for listening. It's great help. I do appreciate all the help. Take care. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Lanes Podcast. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe all of the content. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Lanes Podcast. That's all in lower caps on Instagram. Link will be below in the description. Thanks for listening, guys, but most importantly, have a great day.